Yeah!
Bosozoku dogfight!
Welcome to the first installment of Bosozoku Dogfight, where we challenge and pit against each other bikes, people, opinions, and freaking points of views. It's not always fair and it's not always nice, but hey, that's what dogfights are. In this video, we challenge those bastards who keep on saying that the Husqvarna Svartpilen 401 is just a KTM 390 Duke in a different package. Is it really? Is it? Let's find out. You hear people say it all the time. The Husqvarna Svartpilen is the same bike as the KTM Duke. After all, despite having different history and heritage, these two bikes are now made by the same Austrian manufacturer, KTM. And instead of making a totally different engine for the Husqvarna, KTM decided, f it. Let's save ourselves some money and have these two share the same platform. In other words, the Svartpilen and the Duke both have the same engine, same chassis, same specs, same theoretical power output. It's like having a twin brother you never asked for. Right off the bat, the Svartpilen looks way different than the Duke. I don't think anyone can deny that. It has a more minimalist, industrial, Scandinavian vibe to it that's more subdued and refined, compared to the Duke's loud, bright, let's take some Molly and go clubbing aesthetic. The Svartpilen's dimensions are also smaller than the Duke's, despite having the same frame. Yeah, it has a plastic body, same as the Duke, but the material is different. Instead of using the same stiff and glossy plastic that the Duke has, Husqvarna, use a softer, more malleable plastic with a matte surface, just like desktop riders' dad bod. It's high quality plastic, mind you. It's not cheap, like me. After all, the marketing guys over at Husqvarna are positioning the Svartpilen as an urban scrambler of some sort. A rugged motorcycle at home on the fringes of a metropolitan playground. So they probably made it this way so that, in case you drop it or something, the plastic wouldn't crack right away and instead get dimpled and pop back out, just like a car bumper. At least that's what I assume. Because of how it's built, the Svartpilen feels less substantial and lighter than the Duke. I'm sure there are people out there who like their bikes the way they like their high school vampire crush. Light and skinny. But personally, it felt off-putting. I like my bikes to be chunkier and to have a bit more weight and heft to them. The handlebars also felt like it's narrower and positioned a bit lower than the Duke's. But don't take my word for it. I'm not really sure and I'm probably just imagining it. To tell you the truth, I never really checked the actual measurements to find out for real, because I didn't want the numbers to affect my perception of the bike beforehand. I'm just going by feel all throughout this dogfight here. The Svartpilen's seat is also narrower, and the foot pegs are placed more in the middle of the bike. In theory, this should give you a nice, comfortable, civilized, upright riding position. But I found that that wasn't the case because of the way the handlebars are positioned. I think. Honestly, even though the Duke's seat is wider and the foot pegs are set further back, I felt more comfortable sitting on it supermoto style than the Svartpilen. With the Husky, I just felt scrunched up the entire time. The bulges on the side of the tank, while very nice visually, only added to my discomfort. Maybe it's because of how I'm built and how I ride, but I found it almost impossible to grip the tank with my thighs because my knees would hit those damn bulges on the side. I found myself having to force my knees to point down a bit more just so I can avoid those damn bulges on the side. But when I do that, the skinny tank would have this gap between my legs, and then I wouldn't feel confident riding anymore. It just makes me grip the handlebars tighter, which is the opposite of how I really ride. With my legs tight on the tank, a light touch on the handlebar, and wearing no underwear. I'm 5'11" with no shoes on, so technically, I'm walking around at 6 feet the moment I put on my boots. But shorter riders might feel more snug and comfy with the way the Svartpilen's built. I guess it all depends on whether your knees or legs will hit those damn bulges on the side or not. For the performance, despite having the same power output as the Duke, it's the same engine after all. How many freaking times are we going to repeat this? The Svartpilen felt less aggressive and a bit slower to accelerate. Maybe it's because it's lighter, so there's less kinetic force to push it forward and drive its momentum. Or maybe it's just me, I don't know. I'm just trying to sound sciencey. I have no idea what the f*** I'm talking about. I'm just telling you what I felt, and that's what it felt like to me. So, is the Svartpilen 401 the same bike as the 390 Duke? Yes and no. On paper, yes, but in the real world, I have to say no. More than just the differences in branding and looks, the Svartpilen just handles differently. It rides differently, it feels different overall. They're not the same, which goes to show that there's a lot more to bikes than what the specs on the manufacturer's website is telling you. Now it might sound like I'm saying the Duke is a better bike than the Svartpilen, but it's not that simple. For me and my preference, yeah, the Duke is better in the sense that you sit higher up, it's stiffer, chunkier, feels more responsive and faster. But the opposite might be true for you. You might like the Svartpilen for the exact reasons I didn't like it. It's more compact, skinnier, lighter, easier to maneuver, feels less aggressive, and that's perfectly fine. I guess the lesson here is, take what other people say with a grain of salt, especially bike reviews. Not just with the Svartpilen, but with everything else. Just because so-and-so said that bike X is this and bike Y is that, blah, 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 doesn't necessarily mean it's true. And the same goes for spec sheets. The numbers don't always tell the whole story. At the end of the day, if you're choosing a bike, sit on it, try it, and form your own